All right, I'm going to write a petition. I don't know how I'm going to get this out, but I'm going to find a way to write a petition to have Amanda Athens sing every single national anthem when we're at home, because I swear she's our good luck charm when we're at home. I mean, every time she sings, we put on a good performance. I think we've won, I think every game but one when she sang, and we tied that one. So she's unbeaten when she's singing the national anthem. That's pretty impressive for a national anthem singer, in my opinion. But anyway, moving on. What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here. And comfortable 3-1 win. There was a little bit of concern at the beginning of the second half. Honestly, at the beginning of both halves. We kind of started off each half a little bit slow. But the first half, it kind of felt like we were getting back into the rhythm of things. You know, we haven't played for a week and a half or something like that. So it's been a little while. It feels like we've been off for a while just watching us play in the first half. And then the second half, beginning of that one, it just felt, I don't know, it kind of like we started off a little bit stale and kind of comfortable with the 1-0 lead, and then all of a sudden just one pass breaks through the midfield. Our defense is kind of backing up, trying to find out, all right, who's going to step to, who's going to cover the person behind, and Zardes takes advantage of that and puts it away. So, I don't know, it was a weird start to the second half for sure. But then, eventually we do manage to get it down the field. We do manage to take it to them and get some good chances. But I think the best moments we had were, once again, we're winning it in the midfield, taking it back at them on the counterattack. I mean, that's when we look our best. So it's very important that we score and score early, so that way they have to come at us. Because whenever they come at us, I mean, we just counterattack on them, and that's when it's difficult to play against us. So, but with all that being said, I do want to look at each of the goals. The first one, Martinez ties the MLS single season goals record at 27. And, I mean, we all knew he was going to. There was no way he was going to end the last 9 games and not score. And on top of that, if he scores on Friday against Orlando, he not only breaks the record, but also ties the consecutive games record that was set last year of 9 games with a goal. So, I mean, very impressive. He's on a hot streak, and that I was worried that maybe that week or 2 weeks, however long they were off, I was worried that might take its toll and have him come back a little bit cold. And in the first half, there was some times when I felt like he had gone a little bit cold, but he gets the goal, and all of a sudden he's back to the same old Josef Martinez we all know and love. But it was a great goal, good win in the midfield from Gressel. Gives it to Josef. He's surrounded by 3 defenders, but he knows exactly where to take his touch to get outside of them. And then, honestly, a goal that we don't normally see from him, because most of the time he's either winning the ball in the box, off of a header or off of a cross that's low. This is one of the few times where he is surrounded by defenders, he takes a touch to get out, and then just bends it in around the keeper from about 18 yards out. It was a very impressive goal. But even with that goal, there were still 2 goals that were just as good, if not better. Tito's goal, a lot of people were talking about, oh, what a great goal. It was good. Goal of the season, though, is what I was hearing from the 929 guys. I don't know if I'd go that far. It was definitely a great run, good cut inside. But, I mean, the run is really what made the goal as good as it was, as everybody's making it out to be. Honestly, the finish was just kind of, it was just a nice cutback. But, I mean, the run was great. Was there a handball in the box? In my opinion, this is where I feel like the referees organization, they need to look at the handball rule and define it. Because there are too many gray areas when it comes to handballs especially. I mean, obviously with VAR, there are so many gray areas that I don't even want to get into. But with handballs especially, it feels like, all right, so one ref will look at this and say, well, Larinowitz, his hand is now next to his body. He's trying to move it out of the way. There's no intention to hit it. It's ball to hand, not a handball. But another ref may look at it and say, yes, but his hand is affecting the flight of the ball, which means it's in play. His hand is away enough from his body that it is affecting the flight of the ball. It stops it. That should be a handball. It just depends on what ref looks at it. So I can understand how some Columbus fans might get pissed off. But in my opinion, it's not the referee's fault, it's the rules. They haven't defined well enough what is a handball. It's basically up to whatever the ref sees it as. So, I don't know, there's way too much opinion in the handballs, I believe. So, But the good thing about all of this, though, is that the referee right away, he made his decision. He said no, it's close down to his side. He even made the gesture that it's right there, so it's ball to hand, not a handball. And the VAR, I think they said they did check it, but the VAR didn't do anything about it, which I think is good. Because we had a goal taken away from us earlier in the season where Josef beats the defender, and then the referee says not a foul, but then Mark Geiger in the VAR box says, no, look at it again. And then he looks at it and says, oh, okay, it's a foul. In my opinion, if a referee makes a decision and says no, they should not get a chance to look at it again from a different angle and say, oh, well, now that I'm looking at it closer, oh yeah, now it is. That's not what VAR should be for. It should be for if the referees just straight up missed it, or if a bad decision was made. Like they just didn't, for whatever reason, they made a bad call. And if it's something where they saw it and now they're looking at it from a different angle and they're looking at it in slow motion, it's like, well, now that I'm looking at it in this light, well, maybe it is a foul. That's not what VAR should be used for. So I'm glad they didn't use VAR here to try to overturn it, and not only that, but then give a penalty in the other box. In my opinion, that would have been an improper use because the referee made his decision. You move on. So moving on from that, though, the third goal was probably, I think it was my favorite goal out of all of them just because of all of the build-up to it. You got Chris McCann coming across, stepping in, winning the ball very well. He does well to take it around the player that tries to body him off of it, and then uses his weaker foot to put a great ball down the line for Tito, which is, in my opinion, probably the most impressive part of this whole thing, shockingly enough. Just because, I don't know, Chris's right foot at times can be pretty poor. I think we've seen it in the past. And so the fact that he managed to put such a great ball with his right foot, I was really impressed. But Tito takes it down the line, cuts it back across to Martinez, who very unselfishly lays it off for Miguel to have a nice bender right into the corner. Another great impressive part of that. Martinez has a chance to break the record. He says, you know what, I'm not in a good enough position. Miguel is. I'm going to lay it off to him and let him get the goal. So, I don't know, it was just a great team goal, great build up to it. My favorite goal of the three. So all three were very impressive, and then their goal, it was one of those, they pass it to Zardes, who is in between Michael and Perez. Nobody knows who's supposed to pick him up. The midfielders have all stepped up, and there's this gap in between the midfielders and the defense. And once again, it shows why this 4-2-3-1 formation that we play a lot is weak defensively. Because if somebody's in the middle of those two defenders, well, who's going to pick him up? Well, most of the time Jeff drops in, but in this case, Jeff had stepped up. And he was trying to be a midfielder instead of a defender. And so now the forward splits the two defenders. He gets in space right outside the 18. Michael can't close him down quick enough, and he just has a nice shot. Pretty easy for him to put it in the corner around Guzan. That's why this back four just frustrates me from time to time, because it's too weak. They're not very good sometimes at picking up the player they're supposed to. There are times whenever it feels like players are out of position, and there are players on the opposite team that just have way too much time and space on the ball in the middle of the park. I don't like that. I don't like whenever the other team has so much freedom to play, because it makes me nervous. And there were times throughout the game, even when we were 3-1 up, that I'm nervous because I'm looking at how weak we are defensively. So that's just kind of my overall feel of it. I'm glad we got the win. I'm glad we were so dominant for most of the game. But I still just don't feel comfortable with this 4-2-3-1. I think we look much more comfortable when we play the 3-4-3, which we now have the players to do. But on top of that, one of the things that I think will help is you get players playing in positions that suit them better. You don't have Julian cutting inside like he did today, because he's now a wingback in the 3-4-3, which means he gets a ton of time and space out on the wing. He provides us width, which we really, really needed today, because we kept trying to go down the middle for the majority of the first half, and it wasn't working. And on top of that, it plays right into Julian's strength, because what's he really good at? Good at serving the ball in. You get him out wide, you let him serve the ball, great. But in the 4-2-3-1, he's inside most of the time if he's playing that right wing position, more of an attacking mid. And Escobar is the one making the runs around, and he's the one serving the ball in. And sometimes his crosses are okay, but most of the time they're not. So I prefer to have Julian making those overlapping runs. On top of that, when you play in this 4-2-3-1 and you've got Tito and you've got Julian on the field, most of the time Julian's going to be on the right side, and we saw when Tito switched over to the right side, that is his position. That kind of inside, but he can cut outside if he needs to, that attacking mid, that would work for him. So if you went with a 3-4-3 with Michael in the middle, Perez and Escobar flanking him, you've got Chris at the left wing back, which I think he looks pretty good at wing back in my opinion. Fullback he does okay, but I think wing back is a lot more comfortable for him because he's not required to defend as much. He has a little bit more license to get forward, which I think helps him a lot. Julian, like I said, wingback is his role. It's the one place where I think he thrives the most. He looks okay in these other positions. A lot of people rave about him. Oh, he can play in any position. Yes, but he's not necessarily great in those positions. He's just average. You put him at wingback, he's great. You've got Jeff and Eric in the middle, both of them strong midfielders. Jeff is obviously going to be a bit more defensive, but with 3 defenders behind him instead of 2, now he can be the defensive mid while Eric can be a little bit more attack-minded. Because we saw today when he was trying to do both, he got caught in 2 minds, and a lot of times he couldn't make a decision. So I feel like if you put those just 2 in the middle with 3 defenders behind him, Eric doesn't have to make as many defensive plays, and he can be a bit more free to pick out passes, which is what he's good at. And then on top of that, you go with Miguel and Tito behind Josef. Now, Tito's on the right side where he's more comfortable. Miguel, he is on the left side, but I feel like he can cut inside if he needs to. He can be a bit more free-flowing. Josef can be more free-flowing. It's a much more comfortable lineup like this because it provides more defensive cover. It puts players in positions that they need to be, and it just helps us so much more in pretty much every game that we play, because there are games where the 4-2-3-1 does work. Today, I honestly didn't think it would, but we managed to get a goal, which opened up Columbus a bit, and that is what really helped us today. But there are games like against Toronto or against the New York teams where we need to be more solid defensively, and we need to provide more width because that's where the majority of our attacks are going to come from. And that 3-4-3 is the best chance we're going to get in the case that we have, the players that we have. So I just wish that they would look at that. I know they're not going to because Tata is so set on this 4-2-3-1. He loves this formation. I can't explain it, but from what I've seen this year, that 3-4-3 has been our strongest formation, and I wish we'd go back to it. But whatever the case, let's talk individuals really quickly. Brad in goal, made some good saves. Not much he could do on the goal. It was a well-struck shot from way out and curled around him. I mean, there's not much you can do in that situation. So in the defense, all 4 of them played pretty well, except for that first 5 minutes of the first or second half whenever they got the goal. But I mean, all 4 of them did okay. At least okay. Chris, I thought, had a pretty good game. Defensively, there were times when he got beat with pace, but for the most part, considering he was up against a guy that was probably a good bit faster than he was, I thought he did well. He used his strength well. He used his brain well. He was smart enough to know when to put himself in front of the guy and not let him get around him. So I thought he did well with that. Perez, he worked very hard today. There were times when he got onto the ball and he provided a few extra chances for us on the ball. The only thing that I would say with Perez that I want to see more of is I want to see more of the working back that he did today. Because he showed there were a lot of times the ball goes in behind and he is sprinting back, working very hard to make sure that they don't get a chance. I don't see that enough from him. It's only whenever it's needed from him to sprint back. But if it's not needed, somebody else is on it, you kind of see him jogging back a bit sometimes. And I prefer for him to work hard all the time because he can do it and he's very good when he does it. Michael, I mean, if Josef hadn't tied the record today for most goals in a single season, I would be arguing that Michael deserved man of the match just because of all of the blocks that he made, the times that he had to clear it off. There was one point where Cross came in and is pretty much, if he doesn't get a touch on it, Zardes is going to score. But he's facing his goal and he's like 2 yards out, so there's a very good chance that he could just kick it into his own net. He punts it straight up and allows Guzan to come and get it. I'm just like, I don't know if he meant to do that, but the fact that he didn't just put it into his net and also didn't put it in a dangerous place, put it in a position where Brad could easily go get it, was very impressive. And there were several times where, he's called upon to make some defensive blocks or one-on-one situations where the player is faster than he is, but he's smart enough, he puts his body in the way, he doesn't let him pass. He's easily one of the best defenders in the league, and I'm so glad we have him because, I mean, goodness, the experience that he has is just phenomenal, and I love watching him play because of it. Franco on the right side also had a very good game defensively, so I thought, they kept coming down our right side. I felt like we were very strong over there. There were a couple times where Franco dove in, but I thought he was strong defensively. I thought he put in some good challenges, so I was impressed with him overall. I thought he had a good, solid game, which we need him to have more of because there have been a couple that weren't so good. So, and then into the midfield, Jeff and Eric. Jeff had a good, solid game as well. Once again, that kind of bulldog in the middle that just knocks everybody around, goes and wins the ball if he needs to. Great setup for the second goal. So I thought he had a good game. Eric looked a little bit off the pace today, and like I said, part of it may be because he's trying to figure out, do I go press high or do I drop back in defensively? I wonder if he's maybe lost a little bit in this game, or just being gone for 2 weeks, maybe that affected him, but he definitely didn't look comfortable in this game. And there were some times, a couple giveaways. There were a couple times when he didn't put in a good challenge. It was kind of weak and he let him pass. So I wasn't really impressed with him today, which isn't good because we need him to do well. But I believe, I'm not saying, oh, he's awful, get him off the field, but I do want to see a bit more from him going forward. The three in behind Martinez, Tito, like I said, on the left side, it's not his position. He looks so much more comfortable being on the right, where he can take it on his right foot, drive down, and then cut in on his right foot as well. Whereas on the left side, he has to keep it on his left foot to keep it away from the defender, and he just doesn't look as comfortable. He doesn't look like he's able to dribble as fast with his left foot. So you move him to the right side, and just instantly you can see the change. I mean, drove down, scored one, assisted the assist of this third one. I mean, he really had a good game when he moved to that right side. So that's why I'm saying we need to keep him on this right side, keep him there so that way he can really thrive, because we need him to do well. Because, I mean, obviously we have a lot of good players, but Tito is one of our better attacking players, and if he's not having a good game, that means there's more work for Miguel and Josef to have to do. So if he's playing well, that's less work they have to do. They don't have to go 100% each game, which is nice. You want to be able to lighten the workload on your teammates. So if you're putting him out of position and now he's not having an effective game, that's not good for the rest of the team. Now they have to work harder to make up for that. So, but moving on to the other two, Julian, like I said, he had an okay game. I don't think he's as effective at that right attacking mid compared to being right wing back. But it was a good win for the first goal to set up Josef. He does work very hard, which is something that I can appreciate, but I still think you're lessening his effectiveness when you're taking him inside instead of letting him be that wing player, letting him be the wide man that can get out wide and serve a ball in, because that's what he does very well. So whatever the case, Tata continues to put him at the right attacking mid or center mid. And then Miguel, obviously, getting the goal today, you could see how much it meant to finally get a goal after so many games, just not being able to. Rips off his shirt and gets a yellow for it. Some people were complaining about, but now he's on a 5th yellow. If he gets one more, he's gone a game. Look, the guy hasn't scored in forever. He's had a pretty rough set of games with his shooting. So the fact that he managed to get a goal, you can understand why he's excited. You can understand why that meant so much to him. So I'm hoping that he can really step it up from here and continue to perform well. Because he did get a goal, I want to say it was like 6 or 7 games ago when he got one goal, and he hasn't scored since, and I'm worried that it's going to be another situation where he gets the goal and then we don't see any goals from him for a little while again. I don't believe so. I believe he's going to score some more because he's speaking into existence. And then, of course, Josef up top. Like I said, started off the game a little bit cold. I was worried, but then he gets the goal, and he's back into the same old Josef. He's fighting for balls. He's putting the defense under pressure. He's winning challenges. He's laying balls off for people to run onto. When he gets into his groove, when he gets into his rhythm, it's hard to stop him, and it's very difficult to play against him as well. So I have full confidence he's going to end up breaking that record on Friday and getting, tying the consecutive games with a goal record, because it's just very hard to stop him right now. It feels like he can score from almost any situation. So we'll see what Orlando do to try to stop him. I'm hoping they're not going to do something dirty because it's Orlando, and Orlando are cheats. And no, I'm just kidding. And then as far as the subs that came on, Barco was the first one to come on. It's been a while since we've seen him. You know, that bust up, whatever happened with one of the teammates' girlfriends or something like that. But it's his first time coming back since that incident, whatever happened. And looked pretty good. You know, very quick, kind of the same old Barco that we saw at the beginning of the season. You know, wants to get on the ball, wants to dribble and find space, and then lay it off after he's gotten into space. And, you know, good hard worker whenever he's on the ball, but I do want to see a little bit more from him when it comes to the final third, you know, that final ball, because that is one thing that he had struggled with before he got left out of the team. And so I want to see him contributing more in that final third for the last pass or a shot. So we'll see if, you know, he gets any better from that. Kratz came on for Tito, and that's just kind of the defensive switch that we've seen from Tata a lot of the time. You know, he'll bring off one of the attacking mids or even Josef sometimes and put Kevin in. So, you know, he didn't really have much to do. But he did okay with the little bit of time he had, you know, made some good passes. And then Miles came on. I think probably a lot of people were concerned whenever Miles came on because he has had a couple of bad games coming off the bench and then conceding an equalizer or conceding a late winner for the other team. So I think probably some people were concerned when Miles came off the bench, but you know, he came on, didn't really have a whole lot to do, but you know, did okay with the little bit of time he had. So you know, I do want to see more from him. I think he's a good young defender that needs a little bit more time in the league, needs a little bit more time to grow and find out, you know, what it's like to play in the MLS. But overall, you know, it was a good performance, good strong performance as well. Only a couple concerning ones. But going into Friday, you know, full of confidence. Orlando is on a bad run of games right now. So really hoping that we can take it to them. You know, because we should at this point. With the form we're in right now, yes, we're not doing great all the times. You know, we have a couple games here and there where we kind of underperform. But we're coming into this game and we're playing well. You know, we're doing very well, especially on the road, we're playing well. And Orlando's just not. You know, they're not playing well at all. They're having a very rough time of it. I feel like we should just go in and just beat them. You know, just get the job done, put 2 away early, see out the rest of the game after that. Just make it comfortable, make it easy on ourselves because that's how it should be. So fingers crossed going into it that we have a good game. We don't do anything stupid at the beginning of the game. We don't try to take them lightly, especially now. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully you guys are too. Let me know what you think, though, down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on tonight's game? What are your thoughts going into Friday? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Atlanta United reviews, and I'll see you guys in the next game. Peace out.